C programming fundamentals, the predict the output and convert to infix to prefix, those sort of questions. And then Java was a very subject which was majorly focused upon.
Hello everyone, today we have with us Shweta. She's a junior of mine from same college, a 2020 batch. She cracked Benz and today she's here with us to share her intro experience with Benz. Also, she shares the same interest as me with regard to helping juniors for guidance, and she has created their own website called as No. I will be discussing more on that towards the end. Hi Shweta.
Hi, Shashank. Hello, everyone. Glad to be here joining Shashank. My name is Shweta Roy, as you've already known, and I recently graduated last month from the CS branch, and I cracked Mercedes Benz R&D last year in the month of October, and it was for the role of Graduate Engineering Trainee. And yeah, that's how the process has been. And I have joined Benz last month itself. So I have joined I have started working last month itself. So I had started preparing for the on-campus placements immediately after the sixth semester, right? So usually, if the pandemic was not there and we were attending offline college, then usually you'd get a gap of say 1.5 or 2 months, to kickstart your preparation journey for the placements. But because of the pandemic and all, since the college was already running very late, so the seventh semester immediately started, and it was like we were still in the sixth sem, and we started receiving emails that companies are visiting, and I was like completely overwhelmed because I had not started with anything regarding to the placements. I was just involved in the college academics, and I did not had any idea how should I go about it right now.
Okay.
So Vikas sessions were a major help, I think, for me. So as soon as I was done with my sixth semester, I started preparing. So I started with all the. I wasn't very good initially with the quants and everything, like the quantitative aptitude, like just a average person. So I had to work through that as well. So I started preparing with. I started with the Vikas books, and then with India Bakes and Lofoya and everything. Practiced on that. Then coming to, I revised all the core CS fundamental subjects like DBMSOS and all that. So for that, I used to hit up Geek for Geeks and just some random topics, that what are the important topics that might come. So that was the strategy initially. And then my first company was Akamai. I sat for that. I cleared the online round, but I didn't go through the interviews. It didn't go well for me. And then my second company was Benz itself. So it was like the Benz had come for their online rounds in the month of September. But like I think it was because of the pandemic, because they did not had a very solid hiring system in place, because they were very ambiguous about the entire hiring process. We gave the test in the first month of September, and then it was like the Benz had forgotten about us, and we did not receive any. When I got to know in the month of October that I have cleared the online round, I had totally forgotten about it, that I have given Benz also the test of Benz. And then yeah, so later so they talking about the online round, it had most of the quant topics, so all that time, speed, distance and everything. Quantitative aptitude, it also had verbal reasoning as well, and then logical reasoning questions as well. And then it covered all the core subjects like the C programming fundamentals, the predict the output and convert to infix to prefix, those sort of questions. And then Java was a very subject which was majorly focused upon. Yeah, so that was it was like, it wasn't very of a very high difficulty level. Like anyone with a good grasp on all these subjects could very easily clear it out. So that was it. And then yeah, so that's how the online round went. It was a test of 90 minutes on the Higher Pro platform, and the process was easy. Yeah, that was it for the online round, and then we got the results very late in the month of October. And then the even when we got the mail that we have cleared the online round, there was no, like a clear structure which was given that you'll have these many rounds ahead, and like this is how we are going to go next. So only on the day of the interview I got to know that there would be 3 rounds. First one would be technical round, then a managerial round, and then HR round. So I was like, okay, then let's go for it. And yeah, so coming to the tech round, for me it lasted for around 20 to 25 minutes, wherein the interviewer was like of a very high authority in the organization. I think he was like the, he had a very good managerial position. So he had prepared some questions on a PPT, and he shared his screen, and he asked me to solve those questions. So the first question was a graph-based question. So I had to solve that, and then after solving that, he told me to optimize it, like give me a better solution. And then he would, come up with some test cases, like how would you handle this one. And that the graph one was the first question. And next I had a question where it was a simpler one compared to the first one, where it was just x and y axis, and there is a box, and you have to give me a pseudocode for determining whether a point lies inside the box in the given axis. So that was it. And after giving the solution, again he would ask me to optimize it and provide a better solution. And he would just keep on giving some sort of challenges that, okay, for this solution of yours, how would you handle this case and these edge cases, and how would you go about it. So for me it lasted for about 20 to 25 minutes, and I was able to answer both of them. But the third question, I think because we had run out of time, he did not really go through the third question completely. He just gave me a brief idea, asked me a solution. I made up a solution in mind in like some 5 minutes and pitched it, and he sort of just accepted it. And then he asked me about my projects. So I have realized, going through the interview of Benz, that my projects have really helped me, in the entire hiring process. So I had the opportunity to work with some really good people. So I had good projects in my on my resume. So he asked me. I had 2 industrial projects on my resume. So he asked me about both of them. What was your role? How did it? How was it of the industry relevance? And what technology stack did you use in all of your projects? So I think that made a very good impression, I would say, with the interviewer, because he was like, okay, that that would have really helped you in getting some kind of industry exposure. And I was like, yes, that definitely. And that's how it was. And then after the technical round was over, uh, I wasn't very sure whether I would be, selected for going forward or not. So I was kind of like, okay, chalo, ho gaya, let's see. And then, so I was waiting for the link for the other round, because they didn't send the link immediately. So I had to wait for some 1 or 2 hours to get it. And then I got a link saying you are selected for the MR round. But after some time I got another link saying that the MR round is cancelled. And then I thought, okay, what just happened? Did I not get selected for the further rounds? And then after some time I got another link saying that you'll be directly forwarded to the HR round. So I was like, okay, let's see what happens. And in the HR round, was a very lengthy one for me. It lasted for about 40 minutes, I would say. Like, my HR round was really, the HR was really inquisitive about a lot of things, and she just kept on asking me and then cross questioning on everything that I said. And even she inquired about my projects a lot, like what, and she asked very intelligent questions, I would say. She asked me a question where she since I had written in my resume that I am good with leadership and all that, so she
Mhm.
asked me, give me an example where you displayed leadership qualities and you took initiative in any of your projects. So I
Mhm.
had to answer that, and then she would cross question on that as well, and then. Yeah, so all this happened, and then she asked all those generic questions as well. Where do you see yourself in the next
Mhm.
5 years, and related to all my strengths and weaknesses. And she asked a very interesting question, which, and anytime, so I do this thing where I conduct mock interviews for students. So whenever a junior approaches me that, can you please help me for the interviews, I tell him or her that, okay, if I get some time, I would conduct the mock interview for you. So
Mhm.
that question I asked to everyone, where she asked me, why should I not hire you? And
Mhm.
so I was she put me in a tough spot because I wasn't prepared.
Mhm.
Like, I didn't expect this question. So but
Mhm.
it got me really thinking in that spot. Okay, now what can I possibly say to this?
Mhm.
So yeah, so that question really stuck with me. And then I think the HR round was very a good experience for me, I would say, because the HR was really great and she was quite a professional. Yeah.
So I think we can move on to some FAQs. Does CGPA matter for Ben?
Uh, for Ben's, I think in the online round, because many students had cleared the online round, so they had shortlisted students, according to the CGPA. Because this is I am seeing this happening in many companies who are visiting campus these days. That when they get a lot of applications, they do shortlist students on the basis of their CGPA. So uh, in my case, I do have a good CGPA. Like, I mean, I did not work on it consciously. I have to maintain a 9 pointer throughout my college, but somehow I was just focusing on doing good in all of the subjects. So I ended up having a good CGPA, but it wasn't like something I was working on consciously or I was aiming for it. So yeah, that I think that sort of helped me getting being shortlisted in for the further rounds. But like, from a personal perspective, I don't think it matters that much. I think there are much more important things to focus upon, like your skills. And if you look at the larger broader perspective, then CGPA isn't like a achievement. You have to, it's only your skills that will take you forward. And when you talk about roles like software engineering and software development, then if you just look at the process that many off-campus companies hire, then they don't consider your CGPA that much. So it's just your skills that will help you out there. So yeah, it matters. I think maintaining a decent CGPA is enough, and you should not worry about beyond
Mhm.
that.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So it's not needed to like go full force and do very good or
yeah,
completely ignore it. We should just
definitely.
give our best in the last few days before the exam because
Yeah,
anyway we are going to give the exam. We should try to
yeah,
give the best on that.
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So related to the difficulty of problems, DSA problems, like are standard data structures algorithm problems enough or advanced concepts and algorithms are required?
Yeah, so I think this varies from company to company. If you are applying for let's say a major FANG company, or maybe you're applying for a good startup company as well, then they do check you on your they do test you on your problem solving skills. So in those cases, definitely having a very good record on problem solving, and having very good competitive coding skills help them out. But when it comes to Benz, I think because I myself am not a hardcore competitive coder. Like, I'm just good enough with DSA and everything, nothing beyond that. So coming to Benz, it didn't they just tested me for the basic DSA. Like, you should know what's a stack, and you should know what are some graph algorithms, and just the basic ones. Those were enough. Yeah.
So coming to interviews, what all parameters go into making the final call? Like, is it just they give you problems or questions and we solve them, or other soft skills kind of things are also checked?
Yeah, so when you're interviewing for, let's say, a corporate job, like in this case Benz, so they do check you on your communication skills as well, because when after entering the corporate setup, you will have to communicate with your managers, and you'll have to build good relationships with your colleagues, and teamwork is very important. So all those skills do definitely they check in the online rounds. So I think for me in the HR round, that's why she asked so many questions about my soft skills, because they were looking, a candidate who is good at all that. So definitely it's not just your technical skills. A lot of other skills are tested. What I feel is that when an interviewer asks you a question, be it technical or non-technical, giving a perfect answer is not important, but how you approach that question, and whether you try to give your best optimizing it. It's not important that you give a perfect answer every time. Even if you try to solve it to some extent, that also counts, and that speaks volumes about your attitude, that you are a good problem solver. Even if you don't know the correct answer, you keep trying. So
Yeah.
that approach is very important, having that attitude, that okay, if I'm not getting it, you don't have to be nervous, just go about it, just give your best. Whatever just put it out there, and just showcase whatever the skills you have, and that's it. Don't worry about it very much. So
Yeah.
definitely having those attitudes along with good technical skills is a must.
Yeah. So like instead of being quiet for a long time and suddenly giving answer, we should try to keep thinking out loud and show them
Yeah.
that you are flexible and communicable, so that they
Yes.
understand. Okay, you can collaborate with the team properly.
Yeah,
Yeah.
definitely. Yeah.
Yeah. So what suggestions do you have for candidates before the interview preparation? Like let's say 1 or 2 weeks is there.
Yeah, so I would speak for this in terms of my what I did, and I'm not saying that you should do the same, but this worked out for me, so it might help you in some way or the other. So when I got the when I got the message that Benz is coming. So our college sends all these experience PPTs, right? So I went through all of them, like each and every one of them. What were the rounds they faced? What kind of questions did they get? And I made a list. So I have this habit of making a list every time I do a task. So I made a list of all the possible genre of questions that I can get. So I did that, and then I went on to LinkedIn, hit up my seniors from Benz, and I asked them how the interview for them was like, and what was their strategies. And so I won't say everyone answered, because they were obviously busy in their work, but a few of them answered back, and that really helped me a lot. Along with all this, I went on to the company's website, and searched all through all of the technologies that they are working on currently, because I like to keep myself updated. I don't want to just go for an interview to a company and just be blank about what the company is actually doing, and I'm just here for the job, and I don't know much about the company. So I try to look for all the technology stacks that the company is using, what is the current innovation that is going on, and where are the offices located, what's the work culture like at Benz, all that. I try to gain information in all these things, and then analyzing over all of these information, I then decided whether I want to go for this seriously or not. Because many a times when you get for a company, you just go in the fact you just try to go with the flow, let's just try and see what happens. But I did not wanted to I wanted myself to be prepared if I'm applying for a company. So
Yeah.
I did all those preparations. Then I revised my quants thoroughly, and all the core subjects thoroughly. And then yeah, that was it. When it comes to the technical preparation, that's it. You don't have to take, a lot of stress. Just be very good with the basics. That's the like the mantra of clearing all the interviews. Just be very good with your basics. You don't have to, have all of these high-fi concepts ready with you embedded in your
Mm-hmm.
brain. Just be
Mm-hmm.
very good with the basics, and you should be able to, like, don't give just one solution for any question that they ask. Try to think broadly and try to give multiple solutions whenever interviewer asks you, so that speaks up about you, that you are a wide thinker. You are, you just don't limit yourself to one thing. You deliver more than they expect. So that is a very that helped me out. So I tried to broaden my knowledge base with all of the core fundamental subjects and everything. Try to revise everything. And I think 1 or 2 days before the interview, I just calmed myself down that okay, it's an interview, and it doesn't matter whether I'll be able to go through it or not, but just take it as an experience that you will
Mm-hmm.
learn through it. And yeah, that was it. That was all the preparation on my part, and fortunately it
Okay.
worked out. Yeah.
Yeah. And any specific suggestions for during interview?
Yeah, so during the interview, uh, uh, the first thing that you have to, since because of the, all these remote hiring system and everything, so you have to, I think this, I noticed it with my all of the interviews which I gave, that you have to, you have to project yourself very carefully, because when you're in a offline, like when it's a physical process, interviewer notices your the body language and everything. But when you're just sitting behind a screen, uh, it gets very limited. It's only on the basis of what you speak and what they see on the screen. So you have to be very careful with what you say, and how you project yourself as a candidate. And keep in mind that thing. And then while during the interview, don't think about whether you'll be selected or not. Just enjoy the process of being interviewed. Ask as many questions as you can at the end, when they like, the interviews always ask you, right, do you have any questions for me? So I think you should always be prepared with 1 or 2 questions for the interviewer, because that gives a good impression about you, that you are interested in this role, and you have done the research on your part. So that is also one thing that I would like to suggest. And the next thing would be, during the interview, in case you need some time to structure your answers, and you need some time to calm yourself down in case you are feeling any nervousness. So take your time, like, you don't have, you should not be in a hurry to answer everything. As soon as they ask it, I'll answer it, and then that will show me that I'm a very smart person. That, like, it isn't something that works that way. So take your time and structure the answer in your mind first, and then go about it. Yeah.
Right. So any suggestions for after interview?
Yeah, so after the interview, since you're done, if you many students remain in this anticipation whether they would get selected or not get selected, and what to do now, what if I don't get selected. So my advice in this case would be, don't think about it that much. It's okay if you get selected, it's okay if you not get selected. Because if you don't get selected, you might have a better chance at a better company in future. And if you get selected, then obviously it's good and fine for you. But you should definitely think about your performance in the interviews, and just sort of recollect what answers did you give, and where you could have done better. What all the, even if it comes to technical skills, some technical question, then how should you have optimized that answer better? What would have been a better solution to that question? So all these, this sort of thinking and contemplation part will make you aware of if you have any shortcomings, and what you should work upon for the next round of interviews for the next company. So you should definitely make a checklist, I would say, that okay,
Hmm.
these skills were fine, but I need to work upon these for the next rounds. So
Right.
that sort of uh, it works, I think.
Yeah,
It
that's
definitely
really
helps.
important. Right.
Yeah.
Any other pro tips or key learnings you want to share?
I think the only pro tip I have is to be very like, don't think of interviews as of something that is, that would change your life or is a major, like life changing event that is going to happen. I have seen students where when they not get selected, they go into this, whole phase where they think that they are not, capable enough, or they are not good enough, and they get pretty underconfident because of all this. So the only because it has happened with me too. I had interviewed for Akamai twice, and then I got rejected in both the times, and even after that, many of the companies that I had given the online rounds, I did not get selected. So I was like, is it something wrong with me, or like, was what is it? Am I not doing? Am I not working hard enough, or what is like? Am I missing out on something? Are the other students doing something extra that I'm not aware of? What is it? So I
Hmm.
think everyone is, fighting the same battles. Everyone is working hard at it. It just it's a very uncertain process. Where will you end up? So you just have to keep trying your best and not be bothered about, not get bothered with all these setbacks. An interview is just an experience in your life. If you get through, that's very good, and if you don't get through, just take note of all the things that you could have done better, and then just march on ahead to the next one. Don't take interviews very seriously, like it's something very big, and if I don't crack it, then I'm not good enough and all that. Don't
Hmm.
keep that attitude. Yeah, that's just it.
Right. So yeah, like as a continuation of that, what do you have to say about the role of luck?
Yeah, so I think luck is something again which is very uncertain. You don't know. Obviously you work hard, and everyone works hard, right, for a given role. Everyone is preparing their best, and everyone is doing what it takes. But if whether you get selected or not, I think a major chunk of that possibility depends on your luck as well. Because I do have given some interviews, not just on campus, but even off campus, where I was under the impression that my interviews have gone really well, but I don't get selected, and I'm like, and in those cases I'm just not able to think of where did I go wrong, what did I not do correctly, what could I have done better. Because in my opinion, the interview has gone really well, but there is always this luck factor. Because for every person who interviews you has a a set image of a candidate that they want to hire, and it's there is no guarantee whether you fit into that, that outline of that candidate. It's a very uncertain process. Obviously your technical skills will help you out to a certain extent, and then even your other skills, but after that it's just in the hands of luck. uh,
Hmm.
then I would not say that just consider this as a ki if it's in your luck then only it would happen. Please, no, don't do that. Work hard for it, give your best, but don't fret about it after that. If you have given your best and you have given your best, and if you not get through, then it's okay.
Hmm.
Just focus on the next challenge.
Right. Do you want to share something about mindset, like during interviews, if you're feeling nervous, how to cope up or be confident?
Yeah, so during the interview, this has happened me not in the interview for Benz, but for some other interview, that they asked me a technical question. It was it was a DSA, I think. DP based question. Yeah, it was a DP question, and I could not solve it completely. So I just managed to solve it partially, and then I got really nervous because I
Mhm.
thought if I'm not able to solve this completely, then it's clearly a rejection. And
Mhm.
but that was a major, a major a flaw that I would say that I experienced, because instead of just focusing on giving the perfect answer, I should have just keep on delivering the answer and making it more better and better, trying to make it more accurate. I just had this flash that, oh, this is not the correct answer, and now I'm gone. Now it's all
Okay.
gone, and now I won't be selected. But
Uh,
I think that, yeah, that was a major like I would say a disadvantage for me, because I just sort of went blank and I could not think clearly ahead. And then, so what I should have done was that, instead of focusing on that part, I should have just kept working on my solution, trying to optimize it, make it more correct, and done that. But instead I just, then you're already rejected, if you just have that attitude that I can't
right.
do this anymore. So
Yeah.
you have to be very positive in your mindset, that no matter what happens, I'll just keep on trying. I'll thinking of all the possible ways, trying to optimize it further and further, even if it's not the perfect solution. So that is a very a mindset tip that I would like to tell
Yeah.
to all the
So
students,
when
that
you're trying from your side, they'll also try to help you and guide it to the right solution. And
yeah,
like by the end of the time, if you're
definitely,
able to get it's well and good, or at least they see
yeah,
that you've been trying and they see the potential, right? So that's what they
yeah,
want to see more. Even if you went
definitely,
almost to the solution, you are having chances of shortlisting further.
yeah, I completely agree.
Hmm.
So like these are the things, and these things, these are not just limited to interviews, these are like basic life skills. This
Hmm.
having a mindset that it's okay to not know anything, but you should not stop trying.
So do you want to share any personal experience, like any funny incident during interview?
Yeah, I do have a very like I don't say, I might like credit it to my luck, but I don't know what it was. So basically, in my HR round, uh, since she had asked me to introduce myself, and
Mhm.
I gave all the formal introduction, and in the end I just said that I like reading, and I am a I am always looking forward to reading different kind of books. So she, after after a while in the interview, she asked me this question, where she told me to describe the last book that I have read.
Mhm.
And so it was a book named Tuesdays with Maury, and I had
Mhm.
just read it like 1 or 2 weeks before the interview.
Mhm.
And so I told her about that book, and she said, okay, what was the book about? And then I just told her, this is what the book was about, and it's about a guy who is imparting wisdom to his student. And luckily she was also a great fan of the book, and
Mhm.
then we just sort of connected on that part, where they it wasn't like that boundary of an interviewer and an interview had gone. So
Mhm.
definitely there was some sort of luck factor in this, because then we were just discussing about the book for like 5 or 10 minutes, and I got this idea that, okay, she's sort of liking me, and yeah, and it's going
Mhm.
really well. And yeah.
Yeah, that's great. So, how was your transition from college to corporate or now? How was your onboarding experience, your work experience there?
Yes. So since I've joined like just the last month, so I'm like a newly transitioned person from college to corporate.
Mhm.
So the onboarding session was really great. They had a they had a major event of like 3 days. It was covered over a period of 3 days, and wherein they, it was all virtual, and they showed us all the Ben's products as well, what is going on, and what is the technology headed for Ben's and all that.
Mhm.
But coming to my personal transition, So when I was assigned to the project that I'll be working on under the department, so I realized that there are a lot of things which you as a student take very lightly, but when you enter the corporate field you realize the true importance of it. For example, when I was in college, when we were studying Java, we used to come across the design patterns, and we just used to take it very lightly. Array, the design pattern, it's okay,
Mhm.
just read it for the sake of the exam, and that's it. There is
Mhm.
no much relevance to this. Ye to kaun hi
Mhm.
padhega and all that. But
Mhm.
when I came to the corporate setup, and when I was assigned my project, and when I saw the all the details, I realized that design pattern has such an important role to play, and I was like really shocked. Oh my god, this is the same thing that I had studied in college, but I had no idea that this also
Mhm.
goes on. And then,
Mhm.
so my current role revolves around full stack development using uh, Java Spring Boot, and so I have to develop all these microservices using Java Spring Boot. But
Mhm.
and in college, I did not know a thing like Java Spring Boot existed. So
Mhm.
Java was like the only thing. Okay, I know there's a programming language called Java, and it is used in all these things. But so there is a huge gap of information, and what could I say? All these things exist, and we as students we tend to take it very lightly, but it shouldn't be that way. Whenever you're working on a project, or whenever you're exposed to a new, let's say, a new technology, you should always have that zeal to uh, to really think about it, that how is it applied in the real world. So if you're working on, let's say, design patterns, so where is it really used, what is the significance of using design patterns, or whenever you're just working on some projects. So we as students tend to keep ourselves limited, but that should not be the way. So I think, on my part, I had faced that issue, because as a student I wasn't very much into exploring further and further about these things. And coming to the corporate setup, I realized that okay, I should have done that, and had I known this previously, I should have been better by now. So those come sort of realizations hit me, and I just realized that these things could have been done in a better way. uh, Otherwise, I think the transition has been not very challenging for me, because most of the technologies, since I had done good projects in my college, so I do
Mhm.
have quite an exposure on the tech stacks that the company uses. So that sort of helped me. But yeah, so a tip I would like to give to the students, that while working on your college projects, you should take those projects as an opportunity to explore further. Like
Mhm.
don't just do it for the sake of a college project and for a sake of an S grade. Do it for the sake of your learning. Do it so that you can explore new technologies, because that will definitely help you out in the future. So yeah, that is one thing I'd like to add.
Yeah, so anyway they'll be working on that and investing the time,
Yeah.
so they can put
Mhm.
that extra effort to just see there will be something
Yeah.
really interesting in that. It's not like just because we have been told to do that we have to do. It will
Yeah.
actually be something interesting, and you might get hooked into that.
Yeah.
Uh,
Exactly.
so I think we about to end the session. Do you want to tell about your initiative? No.
Yeah, sure. So, after we were done with our, the eighth semester, and we were sitting like idle for a month or two, our company had not started. So, me and one of my friends, so a lot of juniors came to us asking, asking for help, and what's the process, and how did you end up in Benz, and the
Hmm.
same kind of queries. What was the process for you like? And then we had another set of juniors who had come to us, and they would be really confused, with they could not understand what is the correct domain for them. Should they go in machine learning? Should they go in data science? Should they go for networking companies? which companies to aim for, what really to do. And they would just have this attitude, okay, let whatever the companies are coming, let's just apply to all and let's just see where we end up. And then I said, look, that's not the correct way. You have to first realize what field are you interested in. Are you interested in development part? Are you interested in the web development, front end, back end? What is it that you really like doing? So we realize that this is a major gap that is existing. The students find this very confusing, to decide what is the correct path for them ahead. And mostly they just ask, like, even taking me into picture, I'm not that much experienced, like, right? I'm just a few years older than them, and coming to industry experience, I don't have that much. So I would only be able to advise them to a certain extent. But they should be able to communicate with the professionals who are actually working on on those domains, on the actual front. And then those people should be the ones answering all these queries. So we realize that this is a gap which exists, where students, they just, also we realize that a lot of students, they just care about the interview process, like, how can I get it, just tell me how to crack this company and all that, and all these YouTube tutorials and everything that keeps on coming, how to crack this company, how to crack this company. But they don't put very much thought into the actual kind of work that is going on in those companies. Like, if you're aiming, let's say for Amazon, so do you even know what kind of work is going on? Are you, like, really interested, or you're just doing it for the sake of, since your friends are also applying, or you just saw LinkedIn post where it was deemed very cool and you should also do it. But these should not be the correct criteria, right? You should explore on your part, and you should talk to these people who are working in these fields, and just try to learn for yourself for the better, so that you can make a more smarter choice that what you want to do. So that's what we aim for, and that's what No aims to bring to the table. So No is basically, through No, we aim to bridge this gap between the students, so they would be directly able to communicate with professionals, where they can talk about their day to day life, and what is the work that is actually done in these companies, inquire about all the tech stacks that are being used, what's the work culture like, and all those sort of queries. So that's what we aim to do with No. And yeah, that's the uh,
Okay.
picture of it.
Yeah, I will just add in that link to the website in the description, and also they can connect you on LinkedIn. That link will also be provided for more details.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Nice initiative, Shweta, and thank you for sharing your interview experience and being with us here.
Yeah, thanks to you, Shashank, for. So Shashank has also helped us previously for guiding us through the, how we can take the initiative of No forward. So he has been a very good mentor. So I'd like to thank him for all the efforts that he did for us, and also for inviting me here so that I can, uh, definitely, I hope I am able to help the students to some extent.
Yeah, definitely, Shweta. Thank you.